Hello and welcome to Rule of Three's video review for Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon for the Nintendo 3DS. I'm Roy Manan and I'm the only one that will be doing this review today. So, since this is the second game in the franchise, I guess I should go over the history of Luigi's Mansion. The original Luigi's Mansion came out on the GameCube and is by far one of my favorite games that ever came out for that console. I've been waiting for them to make a sequel for years, and when I heard about this, I was stoked. Now, having played it, I'll tell you the differences and give you a review of it. So, like the previous Luigi's Mansion, the story takes place centered around Luigi as he gets stuck into having to catch ghosts again. This time, however, Professor Egad was studying ghosts in an area called Evershade Valley with an item called the Dark Moon. The Dark Moon is shattered by King Boo, causing all the ghosts to go evil. And then Egad calls Luigi in for help to, fix the Dark Moon and catch as many ghosts as possible. That's the main story. The story of it is, it's good. I actually enjoyed the story. It wasn't, complicated, but, it was silly, and I had some fun with it, and I, wanted to figure out, what was going on and how this kind of related to the past one, which it doesn't. So, anyway, with that, the Dark Moon breaks off into pieces, and Luigi must go find them. This is where the game takes a heavy, drastic turn. Instead of there being just one big mansion, the game is actually split up into multiple mansions. Each one has a different kind of theme going with it, and you explore them one at a time as the game goes. This is one of the biggest selling points is, they were like, it's not just one, it's multiple. But to be honest, I kind of wish it was just one gigantic mansion. I'll go into why here, actually, right now. So the game progresses, unlike Luigi's Mansion, where you just kind of, explore a mansion as you go along and, find keys and then ghosts. It is broken up into missions. Each mansion has anywhere from, I think, six missions. That's, I think, the maximum. And each mission has you, having to find a certain item or catch ghosts, solve puzzles, and as soon as you complete that, you go back to it and then you do the next mission. Now, while, it works, I didn't like it as much because it didn't allow me to, explore that one individual mansion as a whole, because each area would be kind of cut off into separate areas, so you have to figure out which areas, or which mission had the areas you want to go into to find some of the hidden items, which I'll talk about later. And I just didn't care for as much as the original, but it still works. I just wish, they had a level to where I can explore the entire mansion in one go. The second issue is, each mansion is relatively small compared to the original. They're still, kind of cool to explore, especially where they're now kind of more themed than just the original Luigi's Mansion where everything was the same and you just had different rooms. It's a little bit smaller than the original, but with all of them put together, it's obviously a larger game. So with that, the next thing I want to go into is catching ghosts. Now, in the original, catching ghosts was you kind of had to play, it was a tug of war, and it's still the same in this one. You hit them with a flashlight, and then you suck them in with the vacuum cleaner, which is called the Poltergeist 5000, and you drain their HP, and then they get sucked in. Now, in the older one, it was, you sucked them, you held them, and you had to kind of play a tug of war, but you had to be careful not to, pull too hard for them to break away, and not too loose to where they can just easily get away. This one is very difficult, in fact, almost impossible for them to pull away. Instead, you have a gauge at the top that when you push, it fills up and you push A, it does a super suck on them. And if you time it right to where a ghost would be sucked in their HP depletes, you get money. And that's really the only difference. They made it not as complicated, and while that's good, like I said, I do kind of miss the more tug-of-war-ish aspect, but, it worked. I actually enjoyed it probably a little bit better, or a little bit more than the previous one. So with that, I'll go into ghosts. So, in Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, there's only a set amount of ghosts, and this is probably my biggest beef with the game, is, once again, going back to the original, there were, you had your basic ghosts, you had, I think there were 3 or 4 just basic ghosts you would find every now and then, everywhere. And then you'd have specific ghosts in each room that were like a resident or something, and they had a, personality and a certain look. They don't do this in Luigi's Mansion, Dark Moon. Instead, all of them are just generic. Even the bosses are, while the bosses themselves do different things, the look of the ghost is the exact same. I don't like that. I kind of, you know, I don't know. It just didn't have that same charm as the other one did with the ghosts. Whereas, you know, it's kind of cool seeing different kind of ghosts. This one didn't do that. Next is the other type of ghosts that it catches are boos. Boos are hidden, one in each mission, and if you find them, they unlock bonus missions, which were kind of fun. They're not required, but you know, it's kind of fun finding them. In order to find them, there's a new mechanic that they added called the dark light, I think is what they call it. But it reveals hidden objects that are hidden by boos with what are called illusion orbs, I think is what they're called. And you light them up and you suck up the illusion orbs, and then that item will appear, usually spit out money, but every now and then it'll be like a boo or a gem or something. And you catch them and you get the boo. Next major game, I guess now would be the time to go into collectibles. So, like, this one has you collecting not only boos, but gems. Each mansion has a certain amount of gems that if you collect all the gems in the game, you get a super special item at the end. Those are always kind of fun. They're usually kind of secondary puzzles that you have to solve in order to get them. Others are just kind of hidden around the environment. And I thought it worked really well. And I think that's it for Luigi's Mansion that I can think of. So with that, I shall end the review here and kind of give my final verdict. So here at Rule of 3, we do not do a number system. We do a buy, rent, pass. Buying means we think it's worth the full price of the game, whatever it is. Rent means, you know, it's a good game, but it's not quite worth the full price, so rent it or wait for it to go half off or just lower in price. And pass means we think it was a complete and utter waste of our time, and we need to open up a dimensional rift and send it through there, and hopefully it'll get burned or something. So with that, I give Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon a rent. The game itself is very charming and fun, but the lack of, it's very repetitive. There's not as much things to do. The money collecting wasn't as important. It just unlocked stuff or upgrades to the Poltergeist 5000. It didn't do anything at the end. It was a little bit more linear, and they just didn't have the exploration aspect. But it's still a very fun game, and I did enjoy my time with it. So that's it. Thanks for listening, and make sure to leave comments below. Subscribe to our channel. Like us on Facebook, Twitter, and check out our website, rule03.com. And thanks for listening, and always remember to trust in the Rule of 3.